everyone and welcome back to my channel, or if you're new, welcome. I'm Mand. So as you can probably tell by the title that this is a VR to Marine from the Waves of Your Soul. I'll tag her channel down below. She is a fabulous tarot tuber here on YouTube and I absolutely love her videos and I love her accent. It's so cute. And she did this video on hashtag good mood decks, and that doesn't necessarily mean decks that are like comforting or use on a day where you kind of need that warm hug and whatever may be the case. These are really just decks that you kind of dive to for a good mood, for like a pick-me-up, do you know, that kind of a way. So I'm not one, oh hello here, for doing video responses, but I've been really drawn to getting into them and doing them and kind of adding my decks to the list. I wouldn't say I'm all knowing nor all experienced as everybody else, but I definitely wanted to add some of my decks to this list. I haven't watched every video, but I think looking at the decks that I have here, I have a mixture of like tarot and oracle that some people probably have mentioned the same decks as me. So I'm going to flip you guys around so you can have a proper look instead of me just holding up and showing you. Hopefully I can get this camera to go straight. And yeah, so I would recommend go grab a drink or a snack and let's talk about some of my decks. Also, if you were new and you're probably wondering who the heck are you, I'm Mend, as I mentioned at the start of the video. I am in Ireland. I'm from Ireland even. It's been a while since I've sat down and recorded, so please do forgive me. And I kind of cover all things here that are like tarot, oracle related, spirituality. I do cover, or I have covered, some paranormal stories here in Ireland, different haunted locations and things. Haven't gone to them myself, but have covered the stories. And I kind of just do a mix mash of that kind of stuff here. So if that's of interest to you and you don't mind somebody that uploads here and there, I don't have a regular schedule or a regular upload. If you don't mind that and you'd like to follow all the same, please do hit the subscribe button. We'd be so more than delighted to have you here. And especially somebody who's loads of thoughts in their head and can't seem to formulate words to bring them out. Anyway, aside from all of that, I've chatted enough. Let's get into, excuse me, my good mood deck. So the first deck I want to talk about is the Green Witch Tarot by Anne Mora, is that how you pronounce it? And the art is by Kiri Ostergaard Leonard. I hope I pronounced that right. There is the name. I think everybody knows this deck, but if you don't, this is very Green Witch, and there you go, the author of the Green Witch witchcraft is very earthy. It's very pagan. There's the whole lot to this deck and I love this. It is a Llewellyn publication, and the box is just absolutely fantastic if you're like me and you store your decks in boxes. But this is actually the deck that I'm working with this month, so I tend to keep them in like little bags. So this is the bag that I keep mine in, and I will show you the backs and all that. For anyone that wants to know, I keep some crystals, so I have like a little labradorite mushy, I hope you can see that, and a little tiny strawberry quartz sphere as well. I'm obsessed with crystals as well. But this deck is just one of these decks that, excuse me, puts me in such a good mood. I feel so grounded and connected when I bring this deck out. It's just, it's like going to your grandmother and just getting advice. It's so wise. Yes, it is my like comfort deck, but it's also a deck that I just feel really great after. Even though it can really slap you with some hard truths, it's still so comforting. It's like my real good feel. It's the deck that if I'm not feeling things and I'm just not feeling great, this is the deck I will go to more than likely. I'm hoping you can see. Yep. So they're the backs. I think it's so pretty. I know maybe not everyone likes them, but I really, really like them. I absolutely... Of course, the first card here is Five of Pentacles. But the artwork is just stunning. I mean, I feel that I can pull so much from this. It does follow the Rider-Waite-Smith system, but it does kind of veer off. As you can see, the Lady and the Lord is the Lovers. It definitely veers off. But there's just something so feel good about this. This is how I would, in all honesty, imagine my life to be. If I could choose the world to live in, this would be it. I would just love to live this simplistic kind of life in the forest, working with nature, and just being, you know, just being with nature and my guides, and just living my life, you know, living off the land, growing your own stuff, making your own stuff. Just really, I love this. Sorry, I'm so glad this card came up. This is one of my favorite cards, because if you don't know, I absolutely adore donkeys, and this has a donkey in it, and I am beyond obsessed with this card. So as you can see, like, the majors are changed, but I definitely think it suits this deck. It's just, yeah, it's just one of my feel good. Like, look at that Empress. Like, I could gush about this forever, but I feel I've probably talked about this enough. But yes, this is, like, look at that. This is just such a, even the tower, which is the Wild Hunt, still wouldn't annoy me on a good day, if that makes sense. Like, I just adore this deck. I really, really love it. And it's my first one on my feel good decks. The next one on my list, I decided to start with my tarot decks, and I'll move on to my oracle then, is another Llewellyn one. And I believe this was like my second or third tarot deck ever. And this is the Everyday Witch Tarot by Deborah Blake and Elizabeth Alba. And I love this deck. I know there's lots of mixed feelings about this deck from some of the videos I've watched. You either like it or you don't. I love it. I think some people compare it to the Green Witch Tarot, which it's nothing alike. It really isn't. It's a mix of modern and old witches, and I love that. I think it's amazing. I remember seeing it on, it's a Charmed Intuitions tarot, and I was like, I have to get this deck. It was just piquing my own intuition. Sorry, I want to leave that there for anybody that wants to read it. But it is just such a feel-good deck. I love picking this up. As you can see, like, the guidebook is chunky. There's like so much information. There's you can even make notes if you wanted to, and it's just one of my feel-good decks. Let me take it out here. Sorry for the squeaking, that is my chair. These are the backs, and I love the backs in this. I know some people have edged their decks. As you can see, mine is kind of battered at this stage. It's really loved. It is a really, really loved deck. So as you can see, you have a cat and a broom, and a witch's hat. I love the backs. Maybe it's not for everyone, because maybe you read reversals. So yeah, I can see where the problem would be if you're reading reversals. You can see where it's reversed, but I don't, so that's not really a problem for me. And I am a sucker for really, really pretty backs. My cards. I like Llewellyn's decks because I know some people might find them small, but I have small hands, believe it or not, so I find these are amazing to shuffle. Why did I start cards spinning around? These are just the perfect size for me to shuffle, and I absolutely love that. But this is definitely a deck. Oh, look at that now, the Empress. Isn't that lovely? This is definitely a deck I go for just that feel good. There's just something so uplifting and so bright about this deck. I don't know, it's like talking to a good friend. I'm really getting that kick. I really love the artwork. It's very vibrant. It's definitely one of those decks that no matter what you're going through in life, it's kind of a softer blow deck. It's not going to hit you. I feel this deck doesn't hit me as hard as like the Green Witch. The Green Witch is definitely the wisdom of my grandmother hitting me, or my Oma, really. I should say, sorry, that's my dog. Oh my gosh. Whereas this is kind of hugging you and telling you, yeah, it's kind of rubbish right now, but you'll get through this. You'll be okay. So this is just a deck I definitely reach for. It is in one way another comforting deck. I definitely feel my good feel decks and or good mood decks and my comforting decks can be kind of similar, but it's definitely like, for me, it's an easy reader. You know, there's lots of imagery. There's so much to pick up on this. You can really, why are all my majors together? You can really get what's going on in the picture. Like, I love the sun card. Like, how gorgeous is that? But yeah, you can really tell what's going on in these pictures. And you can see what the cards are trying to tell you. You can read the book if you want to, but you definitely don't have to. And I really feel it's such a great way of expressing yourself, and it's just a great pick-me-up in a way. So I definitely always feel so better, or much better I should say, sorry, when I love that Knight of Cups. When I use this card, or when I use these decks, this deck, as one of those like feel good decks. If you're not feeling it, I think this is a great deck to pick up. So the next deck is the Lightseers Tarot by Chris Ann. And this is published by Hay House. I think everybody knows this deck at this stage. I really do love this deck. This is definitely a feel good. I believe most of you know the deck. If not, there's plenty of watchers. Excuse me. I do like the card stock on this one. It's easy for me to shuffle. As you can see, I'm an overhand shuffler, I think is what they call it. I don't necessarily do riffle shuffles. I'm not great at those. So they're the backs. They're not my favorite, but I definitely don't dislike them either. I think it really suits the deck. But this is definitely a good mood deck for me. Oh, the Queen of Pentacles is one of my favorite cards in this. That and the High Priestess. I love the artwork. As somebody who, oh look, we have all the queens together. As somebody who creates journals, and I love being very creative in my own book of shadows, this gives me such Alice in Wonderland vibes. There we go. That's the High Priestess. Is this not the most prettiest High Priestess? I think personally myself. Anyway, I don't know what it is about this card. I just love this. But as somebody who is creative, I really enjoy artwork. I wouldn't consider myself somebody who's very good at drawing people or anything like that, but I love seeing what other people can create. We have lots of queens and kings together. What's going on with my deck? But this deck is just, there is so many layers to it, and you can really dive deep. In all fairness, you can with this deck if that's what you choose to do, but it's also an easy reader. You can really tell what's going on with this deck. I love this Ten of Cups as well. But this is just one of those decks that really just picks me up. I don't have any other explanation. Like, the guidebook is really good, but even the intuitive hits I get from this, it is really a feel-good deck for me personally. Anyway, I find the colors just so magical, and it feels modern to me, and it feels like a familiar deck, if that makes sense. I feel like I've had it forever, and I believe I got it when it first came out. It was actually a Christmas gift from my other half, Jamie. He got it for me for Christmas. He asked what I wanted, and I remember seeing this deck, and I've never gotten as excited about a tarot deck. Well, that's a lie. There's another deck I'm going to show you. But this deck, I don't know what it was about this deck. I was obsessed. Absolutely obsessed. It really just feels good to me. Sorry. Like, look at that star. Just the colors, and it just makes me happy. This deck just makes me happy. It really sparks my intuition. There's a crystal here with the Fool, so I feel like this is definitely a part of my soul in one way. It has that creative flair, it has the crystals, and all the things I'm interested in. This is the deck, like Death and Rebirth. Even the deck card isn't scary, so it's definitely one of those feel good or good mood decks for me. I never walk away from a reading with this deck going, oh my god, I'm ready. I just got absolutely obliterated by this deck. That does not happen with this deck for me. So the next deck I want to show you is Tarot of Mystical Moments by Catherine Welsh-Steen. And this is a US game publications, I believe. Yeah. I love this deck. Now, I only got it this year, but when I tell you, this is such a feel-good deck. Now, there are extra cards in this. I believe it's the King's. It's very much based on the feminine. Yeah, with a distinctively feminine point of view. So the Kings, I will just quickly show you if you haven't seen this deck. I've used kind of a mixture of the masculine and feminine. So the Emperor, I use more the masculine one. That's just how I see the Emperor. But it's definitely a very feminine based deck. And sorry, I should have turned that around. This is a gorgeous deck. It's a bit challenging, alright, yes, for me to shuffle because it is much bigger, as you can see, and the cards are quite glossy. But you know what, with this deck, I do not mind. I absolutely don't mind at all. It is gorgeous. I love the backs. I love the simplicity of it. Gilding. Can you see that? Silver. I'm like here for it. It doesn't bother me. I'm not one for modding her decks. Love to be creative enough for that, but definitely not brave enough. Maybe I am creative enough, but I'm not brave enough to do it, that's for sure. But I love this deck. What can I say about it, really? There is something so interesting and whimsical and kind of unorthodox. It's very out there. I find, the artwork is very strange. But when you read the guidebook, it's like short and simple and to the point. And I'm like, yeah, that's what I need. So you don't necessarily need to have like this in-depth, pick everything apart and need to know the ins and outs of everything. Sometimes you just need short, simple, and to the point. I mean, there is lots of layers in these cards once you sit down and look at them and, you work with this deck. I definitely want to deep dive with this deck and the Dreamkeeper's Tarot, which is actually downstairs. Like here you can see it's a top hat with a window and a hand is holding it, and there's a butterfly and I want to say a swan, and then there's water, and then there's this lady and she's a party hat, and then there's like plants around her and she's a wand, and then there's all these fields. So do you see what I'm saying? Like, you can just dive so deep into this. I could get lost in these cards forever. It is so creative. I really love it. I like the way the cups have a different color, the wands have a different color. So, the suits, I should have just said that. I should have kept that simple for myself. So like here you can tell wands is connected to fire. So I mean, like, what is this telling you? There is so much to it. I love the characters in this. I love the people that are depicted in it. It is definitely, for me, just a really feel-good deck. I really do feel good. It's like having one of those really good dreams. It very much hinges on dreams to me as well. Like what my dream world might look like. I have all my pentacles here for some reason. Like, this is just... There's just a feel-good vibe about it. I don't really have any reason as to why. I just feel good after pulling cards with this. I really feel heard in a sense, nearly. It definitely piques my creative side. Like, it's very strange, but I love that. I love very unusual decks as well, you know. I'm still trying to find my style, and I really feel that this is definitely similar to how I would see myself if I was to create a deck. I think, you know, this would be kind of that style. I really like that. Strange and wonderful and weird and mystical. You know, it has mystical, and I am Mystic Man. So, oh my goodness, cats. You can really pick so much from it. It's so beautifully created. I can see where the love went into this, and I just feel so good reading with this deck. It's just like, look, a page of cups, there's a fish in a cup. I mean, it's just wonderful. Like, I don't really have much else to say about it, to be honest. I feel like I'm just rambling, but I can really appreciate the artwork. There's like the Nine of Swords. Like, I mean, look how strange that is. I don't think for beginners it's great, but you know, if you're more seasoned, like, I love that Hierophant card and the Hermit, you know. So yeah, this is another one of those feel good. We will not end on the Eight of Swords or dead, but like, do you see what I mean with the deck card? I wouldn't be mad if that came up in a reading. It's really, really, like, some decks it'd annoy me, but with this deck it just would not annoy me. So I really, really love this. So the last tarot deck, and full disclaimer, I haven't actually worked fully with this. I've pulled a few cards, but I haven't really spent time with this deck. But I wanted to add this to my list anyway, because it is such a feel-good deck. It's the Bootaroo by Celia. Oh my god, I'm not even going to try and pronounce her name, but here. This is an indie deck. It is a deck I splurged on. I can't remember where I seen it. Probably Lisa Papez's Facebook group. They had mentioned it, and I'm not gonna lie, I seen it, and I remember looking through all the pictures and everything, and I really wanted it. I was getting excited looking at the images. I had no real reason. Sometimes, you know, I have a reason as to why I buy a tarot deck, whether it be for divine feminine work, you know, inner child work. Sometimes it can be for the creative aspect of it, you know, whatever is the case here. This deck just sparked joy. It was kind of my inner child, I believe, that was like screeching, going, this is the deck. You have to get this deck. It's amazing. It's like a ghosty Harry Potter. That's the only way I can describe it. There was just, I don't know, a lot of joy. I still feel a lot of joy every time I see it. I'm like, I own this deck. This is amazing. So this is the back. It does come from France, so there is French translation and English translation. So if that's something that you're kind of worried about, the box is absolutely beyond adorable. It is an adorable deck, but I just feel so good. The little guidebook it's brilliant. It's simple, to the point. Love it. It'll do. You know, that kind of a way. And it is one of those fold-out decks, or fold-out boxes. And you get like these 3 cards for the major arcana: Pentacles, Swords, Cups, and Wands. So like kind of quick, if you just want like quick one word, you know, you just want a journal. And it also is in French. So I do feel if you're learning French as well, this could be a great way of learning it. So this is just a feel-good deck. I have no particular reason as to why. It just is. I think, you know, my inner child definitely appreciates this. The backs of these are like holographic. I hope my camera is picking it up. I don't think, well, kind of. It's adorable. It has like pastel and like watercolor blends of purple and blues, which are like one of my favorite blends. I just love it. There's like little ghosties and pumpkins and moons and stars and like cobwebs, and I love this. The major arcana, because you also get like a really cute little bookmark, and I think there was actually a misprint with one of the cards, if I remember correctly, and they sent the proper card with it, and oh my god, off the top of my head, I can't remember which one it is. If I come across it, I'll let you know. But they do send it with the deck. You don't have to. Well, they did with my deck anyway. But the majors, the ghosties on the major are actually holographic. Like they have like little I just feel so happy when I'm holding this deck. Yeah, so they have like little sparkles on them, but that's just for the majors. But listen, I'm not mad. Like, how can you not feel good with this deck? I'm hoping it's picking up the... There we go. Okay, maybe not so much with the Three of Swords, but like, it's so cute. And even the cards I did pull, I walked away gleaming. I was smiling. My heart was just so full. Like, the cup suits is one of my favorite suits in tarot. So this is just adorable. I love the artwork again, of course. I love the pumpkin and the little bats. And yeah, I mean, you could totally use this for seasonal work if you wanted to. I would use this all year round, even though I only got it a couple of weeks ago. Was it 2 weeks ago? Could have been. I can't really remember, but yeah, you can see like, you can see it much better. You can even feel that it's different. But like, how can you not love this? This is just, to me, this is just a feel good. It's a good mood deck. Especially if you're not in a great mood and you don't want to dive too deep into tarot and stuff. This is just a wonderful little deck to pick up. It is on the pricier side than the ones that I have shown because it is independently published. But I believe, my personal opinion, it's well worth every penny. Like, the cardstock is pretty good. It's just, I love it. So yeah, that's my last tarot deck. It's adorable. It's so adorable. Like, and I would highly recommend, if you love this kind of cute ghost feel, kind of Halloween, autumn, autumnal feel, definitely pick it up. But it isn't a deck that, you know, you only have to work, or you can only work with in autumn. That's not the case, or just Halloween. I totally don't believe that. You can use this all year round, and it's just, how can you not feel good? Seriously, let me know in the comments below, looking at this deck, do you not feel good? Do you not feel happy? Maybe it's just me. Like, oh, I love this. So the next decks are all Oracle, and do you know what? I don't think I'm going to stop the camera. I think I'm just going to keep it rolling. So, so the first one I actually paired with my Green Witch Tarot, and this is Sacred Ireland Celtic Moon. And yes, this is an Irish created Oracle deck. It's 52 cards, but I just love this. It's definitely a deck that I just love diving into the guidebook sometimes. Not always, but I feel good. It's a good mood deck for me. I feel heard, I feel seen. You know, it's definitely, there's something rooted in it that I feel like it gets me. Excuse me. As you can see, it's a very loved deck as well. The sides have gotten a bit battered over time. But I definitely feel like, yes, the keywords are very big and the images are quite small, if that's an issue for you. Sometimes you just have this and there's not much else to it. But I love it. It's definitely one of my feel-good decks. Like, it covers the moon, different goddesses, different sacred places here in Ireland. So like, I really like this deck. Yeah, it's definitely good. I like Samhain. One of my favorite seasons. But yeah, or holidays. But yeah, I absolutely love this. It's definitely a feel good for me. So the next one then is actually The Work Your Light by Rebecca Campbell. I'm hoping you guys can see. This is a Hay House. I just love, that's the backs. I think everybody knows this deck. The cardstock, first of all, Hey House, can we bring back this cardstock? It is one of my favorites. I have to say, it's one of my favorite cardstocks. It's so sturdy, you know it's going to last a lifetime. It shuffles beautifully. I adore the cards in it. I feel like it's that TikTok, the pastels. I love the pastels in it. It is definitely whimsical. It's definitely out there. It's probably like a step beyond in one way. It's definitely kind of that, not even that celestial feel. That's the word I'm looking for. It's very celestial feel. It's definitely very starseedy, which wouldn't necessarily be something that I like follow or anything like that, or it's not in my beliefs. But there's just something about this deck that I always feel better after it. It's like, even if I'm in like such a bad mood, this just picks me up. Like here, it literally just picks me up. It kind of brings me out of it, and I feel good. I feel good, even with like the initiation here. So even though like things are absolutely rubbish and crap and whatever, like look at how much brighter it is. Just I really like this deck. It's definitely, again, another one that's kind of strange. It feels very, very feminine to me. It's just one of these decks that definitely feels more feminine. I think a lot of the decks I picked actually have that very feminine feel to it. The next one is actually Queen of the Moon Oracle by Stacey DeMarco. I don't know how many times I've mentioned this deck. I don't know how many more times I'm going to mention this deck. I adore this. This is one of my favorite oracles. I will never get tired of recommending this. I will talk about this forever. It is just a feel-good deck for me. I feel like I don't need the guidebook for it. You definitely can if you want to get more messages, that's fine, but I really rely on my intuition. I love the artwork. I love the art style. I love the keywords. I love the feel of the deck. It's just a good mood deck. There is no other word. If I had to sum up a good mood deck for me, this would be it. There is just something about this artwork that just puts me in a good mood. I love Stacey DeMarco's decks, but this is definitely one of my favorite, that and the Halloween one. But this is my top, my top favorite one. I love this deck. Of course, I've really gotten into working with the moon and the different phases and learning more about that this deck is just wonderful. Excuse me. So yeah, that is Queen of the Moon Oracle. I will never get tired of talking about this. There's one card that I absolutely love. I call it my Effie Trinket card. There we go. It's the self-love card. I just love it. If you haven't seen the Hunger Games, look up Effie Trinket. That's who it reminds me of. I just love it. I absolutely love it. So we've only 3 more decks to go through. The next one is the Goddess Love Oracle by Wendy Andrews. And to be honest, it was a tie between this one and the Goddess Dreams Oracle, because I love that deck. It's really feel good. Or good mood deck. I love this. There are so many cats, and for those of you that don't know, I have 2 cats. Well, a cat and a kitten. And I just adore them. I love cats. So this is definitely, I love animals in general. To be honest, I have 2 dogs as well. But this is just a good mood deck. I really, really love this. You can't help but be in a good mood when you work with this deck. I feel this kind of covers all seasons. It's definitely an all-rounder deck. Maybe hinging more on the autumn winter side of things, but I love it. I just love all the incorporations of the animals and stuff. It's just, for me, it is a good mood deck. I can't help but smile when I look at this deck. So I'm trying not to rush through this, but I'm also aware that this video could be quite long. The Everyday Witch Oracle. Of course I had to include this with my Good Mood decks, because I love actually pairing this, believe it or not, with the Everyday Witch Oracle. You do not necessarily have to, but I love it, and this is by Llewellyn as well. The only thing is, I have to say, the only complaint I would have is the cards are quite big, so they're very difficult for me to overhand shuffle. So okay, well that one worked out, didn't it? So we have Water Magic. Oh, I love that. I love the backs. Again, more cats. It has all the elements. And again, it's the same artist that did the artwork. The only thing with the cards being bigger is the images are bigger, so you can pick up more. And I think that's absolutely beautiful. It's just really good mood deck. Like, I love, even if you just wanted to sit down and flick through the pictures, I can't see where you couldn't. Like, look at that, given to passion. I think this is so beautiful and it's so powerful. There's just something so majestic. It really is so majestic. Like, I love this with the cat, and she's grooming her little kitten, and she's chilling here, looking after herself. You know, they're all looking after themselves. Again, there's so much you can really pick up from this. And I love the artwork, and you can't help but feel like in a good mood. And of course, crystals. I love crystals. So yeah, this is just one of these decks that I absolutely love, and it's definitely a good mood deck. And last but certainly not least is, I actually just picked this up as I was kind of gathering my decks. I was like, and I was like, no, do you know what? It is. For me, it's a good mood deck. I wasn't sure. I have it with a while. The box is kind of battered. I think it came like that. It's by Amanda Lovelace. And I wasn't sure because I haven't worked with it in the longest of times. And I find it quite hard to shuffle. I'm not a big fan of the box and stuff like that, solely because the cards slip around. The cards are quite big. Again, it's a bit along the lines of the Everyday Witch Oracle. They're quite large. As much as I love large cards, I can't shuffle them, so it makes it very challenging. But I love this deck. It is a good mood deck for me because there's just something so homely about it. So it's definitely a warm hug deck as well. And it definitely, like, it incorporates like all body sizes, all body types. Yes, it is very female centered. But I definitely feel I can, in one way, like, relate to this deck. And I can look at this deck and see myself in another way. I hope that's making sense, but I just... there's just something about this deck. If you know the word I'm trying to find here, please let me know, because I cannot find it. But I just think it's amazing. Yes, are there some cards that I'm kind of like, I don't agree with? Yeah, but I think you're going to have that with certain decks anyway. But I love the artwork. Even if you just wanted to cover the words and work from it there, you could, because the pictures tell enough stories. So I really like it. I love the artwork. I love the characters in it. And yeah, it's my last good mood deck. I hope you've enjoyed it. I will hopefully remember to leave a list of the decks that I have included in this video. Please let me know if there's other videos you want me to cover or anything like that. And if you like the video, please do give it a thumbs up. And yeah, that's it. I hope you have a wonderful day wherever you are in the world. And thank you so much, Maureen, for this fabulous video for people to be able to react to, because it's so cool. It's great to be able to give our response. And yeah, have an amazing day wherever you are in the world, guys. And I will chat to you all real soon. Bye.